Hi Justin, John, Jamie, Robert and Ali. Thank you for your submission, and I thought I'd just go through it with you now and give you some feedback. So here's your piece as submitted. Okay, my first reaction on here is I found a little bit difficult to, I can guess what your message is, but I don't think it's perhaps been conveyed as clearly as it possibly could be. You did start off with a nice indication that they're drunk, and my first things that were probably the least strong sections are here is perhaps here, no more trains. You could have sort of perhaps a little bit more of a creative way of working. We might have, say, worked with the text that's on here and maybe changed it so that it said something instead of on the right next timetable information. This might have just disappeared and been replaced with no more trains, no more assistance, or something that works well with what's already graphically presented in the scene instead of just bluntly throwing a bit of text over the top. Here it's very similar to other works we've seen before, so perhaps not the most original of choices. Now, what I think is missing here is that you're introducing this guy here. Now, as far as the narrative is concerned, the bit which strikes me as being perhaps a little bit flawed in the narrative as far as the way it's being presented is that this guy eventually crashes the car. Now, it's well understood that the other people are completely drunk. Now, this guy who crashed the car, I assume he crashed the car because he was also drunk, whereas it's not quite as clearly conveyed here. Perhaps when you're filming that, you may have implied that he was also drunk by having beer bottles all the way around him as well, which sets the context up nicely for the following section. And perhaps even here you might have started to introduce your interesting turbulent wobbly effect to suggest that this guy also is completely under the weather and certainly not in a state to be driving. So when we get to him, then it would be funny to get to this bit because I think that works really, really well. There's the LSD sort of thing, and then there's the guy, and this hit I think as well. This is great. I really like this. I think this works really well. The transition and the hit, I think, just need to be straight off like that. Turn around, maybe a reaction shot from, say, the girl or someone who just like looks out the window and sees a thing, and then boom, turn it, and then you just straight into smack as it's gone. And the credits, I think, are way too long. I mean, you can have them there, but I think that they end up having more screen time than the important narrative elements. So that's perhaps something you need to look at as well. With the sound, I think that you got to this point here where it's all traveling in one direction, and then you've got this huge fade here, and nothing happens. There's no real, where are we going? I think that music that just started then, that needed to hit pretty much straight away. It needs to almost steal the energy away from the previous piece and throw itself into your face right there, so that there's a big audio hole in the middle of this. which I think it just detracts from it. If you just gone straight in with that, and what would have also been an interesting design idea would have been, because you've got this colourful doodaddy stuff here, maybe as you come here, you may have almost had the stuff coming out of the car to suggest that this guy was so off his face that this was a car of death. And you might have had some interesting, maybe create some masks over here and do some turbulence, like there was a gas or something coming out of the car, so that this car itself, even though the rest of them is in the darkness, this is a happy-go-lucky car ready for some fun. So that's something that I think that might have been interesting if you'd maybe drawn some masks around here and had some colourful stuff, so you see that people inside this car are having some fun, as is evidenced in this next section there. So they're the main things which catch my eye in terms of the so it's mainly consistency of narrative and the way in which the whole thing gels together. Now, going back over some other points that we need to discuss, I think that let me go through this whole thing. Everything, we do have a few issues here. I think that you'll probably find that you're pushing your safe text zone here. It's not the best text in the first place, and I suggested you're probably best to try something else. So that text definitely pushes a few illegal zones as far as text is concerned. And we're a bit light on the graphical use. There's lots of video editing, but not much in the way of graphics. And I think that this is motion graphics. It's not just straight video. Whilst some of this stuff is great, and where's your message at the end? That's the other thing that I think it's important. It's not just a video. We have to say what the message is. So yes, you've got drinking bottles. That certainly does something inside there. But what happens when we progress a little bit further? Yes, we've missed the train. It's more of a short story, a short film, than an infographic. I think that you really need to be able to say something with your video graphics besides just the story, because we have this crash, and what we need to have there is trains, or the lack of trains, killing youth, fixed metro or something like that. Some message needs to have been put in here better than your credits. I think that you certainly need to have spent some time thinking more about your message. So the message, whilst it's implied, I don't think it's strong, and it's certainly not as good as it could be. So as a general rough pass, you've used the bottles there, you've used a very simple bit of text there. This is okay, but it just needs more. I mean, it's more. You've got so much going on that can be supported better, and to drive the narrative more with more graphical content. So I think that some of your video effects are good. This looks very familiar, and that works really well, and that also works well. Again, snappier, I think, would be a much better approach with that. And it is entertaining, I have to admit. Perhaps not the most original, but it's certainly entertaining, and it would have been original had you actually taken something at this moment in time. If you had gone in and said some punching message at this exact moment, your 56 mark, if you'd gone in there and punched out some kind of clever line, or at least led your viewer up to a point where they felt that this was the result of the trains not working. Okay, so in general, good work, could be a lot better, largely because of the narrative. I think the narrative just hasn't not worked as well as it could do. For screen elements, I think as well, as I said before, here to introduce a little bit earlier on the nature of the driver, and reinforce as well, this is the metro's fault, it's the train's fault. Okay, you just let it go right there. So anyway, good work. I think that you still managed to get something done, but it could always be better. It's been a pleasure to teach all of you. I wish you all the very best in your future careers and pathways in life, and I hope to cross each other's paths some other time. Take care. Bye.